that it's not a mix, it's diversity. So mix and diversity distinguish. Mix is where you lose your originality and get into something which is common. Whereas diversity is that you continue with your identity while living together. So there is a difference. It's a compound and mixture. You know, the two things, the compound and the mixture. So here I'm saying that diversity, that means people live with their own thoughts, while thoughts can be pulled together for a mix which could be a common thought. And I think that is where it probably would be helping. That people have their own ideas and they are allowed to live with their own ideas.
Right.
They are allowed to live with their thoughts. And those thoughts and ideas are picked up.
Right.
So people don't lose in terms of, or they're not forced to think in a way, rather they are allowed to think the way they want to think.
Right.
And that comes in handy when we have projects, when we have multiple initiatives in the organization, like we have initiatives called Aspire, or initiative what we call as Kar Vijay Har Shikhar, you know. These are, you know, you look at different problems across the organization, business problems, live business problems, pick up people from different functions, different parts of the organization, make a team of youngsters and say that this is where it is and this is the problem that we have, and let's find out a solution to that. So since people are allowed diversity in terms of they're allowed with their thoughts, their thinking process, they have their independence, they all come together and come out with solution which is, you know, which is very innovative, very new, has multiple perspectives in it, because people, they carry different perspectives and they add to that. And hence the solution that comes out is very, very useful, practical, implementable, and you wouldn't believe that every year we add to the bottom line close to about 500 to 1,000 crores through this process.
Wow.
And there is a target they run with this kind of project that happened. So I would say, in the hindsight, that this diversity is actually helping people to carry on with their own originality, individuality, and bring in that perspective which adds value to whatever, you know, whatever comes out as an outcome, as an innovation. That's where I would say.
Okay, that's terrific to understand that. And Jaggi, I come to you with the question which I had raised. Would you like to talk about that? Which was, you know, surely you're having diversity in the organization. Are you able to build that even in the leadership team? Or if you're in the process of doing that, how are you doing that?
Let me just quickly give you a little bit of a background of how you know, we're working to get more diverse. In the media company, for instance, we found through our experience that it's wonderful to have women on the team because they come up with really radical ideas. A lot of times I have experienced that men who work are on the team sometimes find these ideas ridiculous. And they turn down the idea saying, no, this is not a great idea because this is not traditional, it's radical. Now, so what we do is when we recruit people, one of the things that I told my HR, or the targets I've given to the HR team is that for every 10 applications they get, men applications they get, they must get at least 3 to 4 applications from women to start with.
Right.
And this is for the top level.
Right.
So that way when we start recruiting or when we recruit people, we recruit them at a higher level rather than recruiting women at the mid or entry level. But as you know, there are more women at the entry level, and it's a challenge for us to see how to bring them up to the ranks. So we constantly work on mentoring them, but at the same time, we also sensitize the majority there, because women tend to be a minority most of the time. So we sensitize the majority there to how they should react. For instance, in a meeting, one of the rules is nobody will turn down anybody's idea. Every idea will be put on board. We will never say this is a ridiculous idea, first of all. So that's a taboo, because people lose marks for saying this is not a good idea. The word no, but, if is not allowed in a brainstorming session. So that's a start to sensitize them that every idea is good. So it depends on how the leaders take them, filter them, and implement them. So we have a core group of people, and we have several brainstorming sessions with various levels of people. And one of the things that we do is sensitize them to how to deal with women, because they come with different strengths.
Yeah, that's very interesting, and you triggered some thoughts in my mind. I was sometime back with Chanda Kochar, chairperson ICICI group, and I was talking to her and I said, what is it that you bring different to the table because of being a woman leader? And she said, no, nothing. I've fought equal basis with men, and that's the way it is. And then she said, no, hold on. I think women do bring a softer side, which is different. And to your point, there is different sensitivity that a woman leader brings, and it's very important that the leadership team takes advantage of that. The second trigger from what you were mentioning about mentoring was that we see a lot of organizations that are talking about enhancing gender diversity use mentoring and not fully succeed. And therefore, there is a new concept that is coming up, which is sponsorship, which is going beyond mentoring. To say, if you're a mentor for a woman leader, you need to sponsor her, because there is a tendency that we've seen, or that industry is seeing, which is that women leaders would not do that self kind of selling or showcasing their own abilities, which somebody else has to do for them. So we are seeing increasingly in case of organizations that are talking about gender diversity in the leadership teams, they're talking about sponsorship as against ahead of mentoring. So those were some of the parts that came to my mind. I have a question for the entire panel, and this is coming from a recent experience that I had with a client. This client, I can't take the name, is a FMCG company, and has a stated philosophy of 25% women leaders in their leadership team. One of the leadership positions fell vacant because somebody moved abroad, and then they had to look for, there was an opportunity to have a woman leader. They did look around internally in the organization. There were some very worthy successors, but unfortunately were not women. So they went out, looked around, found one, who in the eyes of some of the people was 19 or a 20 of a lady successor who was a male from within the organization, but they hired that external talent. Views of the panel on that. 19, woman leader, 20, ready gentleman, what do you do?
I think it's an insult to women to give them a position even if they are not up to the mark. So I would say 19 out of 20, go for the guy who's 20. There are enough women who will be 20, there will be women who will be 21 or 20. So I don't think, and certainly in Mahindra's we don't have a quota. We believe that women can more than match up to them. Do it by osmosis.
I don't go by. Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. That's fun. That's fun.
Being a woman, I have a slightly different opinion, and that is that I would go for the woman even if she's 19, simply because I think she brings something so important or so different to the table that a lot of people don't recognize yet. Because the definition of capability or the definition of good performer today is quite different, and it is quite skewed towards the male members.
Yeah.
Going forward in the 21st century, you will see that compassion, collaboration will be more valued. Now, for a woman, I think her biggest strength is compassion and collaboration. Vis-a-vis a man where it is authoritative and power wielding. And I think going forward in the more globalized we get, the more flatter the world gets, I think these two qualities of compassion and collaboration are going to be extremely important, which today people don't recognize. So that one point is never given to that woman. And I would give that point because I understand that.
Okay.
But I have to express here.
The fun would have been at Rajiv responded.
But compassion and collaboration are such important things going into that 19 or 20. So I don't agree with you that compassion and collaboration, at least for us, they're right at the top. And they're included in that 20 or 19.
I'm very tempted to debate, but I won't.
Please go ahead. I'm just telling you what facts are with us.
Suryaji, I'll express here one thing only. In the mechanism of selection, because there is an internal candidate who is 20, and you are going to external agency or external environment to get, it's always good to have a mix of 75-20, 75 internal and 25 outside. That should be, so that new ideas can be. But the selection process, and if the mechanism is such to screen out, because one thing what happens, a person who works in an organization is a royalist to the organization, his expectations. And once he is competent, his expectation. The next moment, he may leave the organization. So, if your mechanism is such that it can be proved that yes, C is 19, then I should say that C can be given. Because he's outsider. That one mark to have a mix of out and in. Because one thing, we have to have the sentiment of the internal and at that level. But, so that's my view.
Interesting. Very interesting.
See,
Without entering into any debate, and my
You are
response...
very much a part of the debate. Think of it in the center.
Because for me, I believe for leadership positions, it is not male or female. It is the most deserving candidate to whichever sex he or she belongs. Doesn't matter. The deserving candidate should be given a chance to lead. Be it Kiran Majumdar Shaw, be it PepsiCo chief, be it Shraddha Kochhar. So all those are real good examples. But at the same time, they are equally good examples of male leading the things. So nothing called that male or female. So nothing I said, I am not entering into a debate. It is the deserving position. It is the leadership qualities, and of course, compassion, understanding the people, mapping the people's pulse, and knowing the business model, driving the business, all the things are there. So with all the things present in a person who can lead the organization, yes, should come to the leadership position.
Right.
see, my answer is based on what you said, the facts. The facts is that in this organization, they want to have 25% women in the leadership position, right? Now, if this is there, that means there is a need in the organization felt that you should have more of women. Now, if that be so, it is just a little short in terms of whatever, 19 or 20 out of 20. So it's fair, because it's in need, it's in the direction which the organization has decided for itself, and hence it should be given to the women, even if there is a shade below. So that is what I would agree to.
Yeah, I think how we are saying similar things. If I may just put a completion to that. I think what is being said is that 19 becomes 20 because of compassion, and that 20 becomes 21 because it's outside in and 75-25, and therefore it's 21 versus 20, and therefore the woman's decision. Yeah. My own journey, I'm 25 years into the industry plus consulting, almost half split. The finest leader for me, finest manager for me was a lady. So I would go with you, man. And also, as a part of Top Company for Leaders study, we also met Indra Nui, chairperson of PepsiCo. We had the opportunity of meeting her. And we asked her a similar question, or not a similar question. We asked her, for leaders of tomorrow, what is going to be the most important competency? And she clearly came out and said emotional intelligence. So emotionality side is very important, and then probably, and that's not to say only women leaders have that. Anybody can have, but that emotionality is very important.
I'm sorry, I'm maybe entering into a debate, forgive me. I think you need to use the whole mind, which combines the left and the right, the intellect and rationality along with emotion and connection and empathy. I think it's the combination of the two that is required, and that will be powerful. I think well, I presume she is saying that in the West we take for granted that everybody has a strong left brain, we lack the right brain, then it's okay. But I think really it's the people who can use the whole mind, who can combine left and brain and right, they are the ones who will be good leaders. In the VUCA word. Somebody said, make sure you mention VUCA. I did that.
Okay, great. So I want to, I have one more important question to cover before I open it up for the audience. So we covered the various aspects of diversity. I think what we said was that a lot of those aspects are important. Some can be more important in some context to the other. And that does drive innovation, even if diversity is being done just for the sake of it, but it does lead to innovation and significant business results, 500 to 1,000 crores additional every year. So having said that, I want to also pose a point to say how, therefore, linked to innovation, how is organization, and each one of your organizations, being able to propagate innovation in your organizations and being able to create leaders who are one. So one who are able to innovate themselves, but are also able to create leaders who are innovative. So maybe we'd like to go the other way around, Madi, from your side. Innovation, how can you propagate leaders who are innovative and they create leaders who are innovative?
Basically, the company should have a level that Nanko developed a powerful instrument. Once a person comes to the level of geometry, they are being next leading. There we don't consider the next is life. Different positions. The person is working in HR, the person working in technical field. Cross-functional units. And they because when individual first explanation that you can be a unit which is a production unit. Technical when come to so that way
Job rotation. So you're saying
that's on that we have to regional exposure. Basically, I believe more of knowledge about technology expansion. I think so. Require a cross-functional exposure by competition. After shifting this is not, and certainly this helps that to have a person who is very someone so I will not be able to have that confidence. So I will once this exposure.
Great, thank you. Rajiv, your thoughts.
So, can you just repeat your question?
So my question is, innovation, how can you create leaders who are innovative and also leaders who then encourage innovation in their organization, I think we can just switch off this sound system, we don't need it, because otherwise
So, can you hear me at the back? Yeah. Okay, the last time I asked this question, the answer came back, no, I can't, but carry on nevertheless. So, again, my answer, Ajay, and it's a little boring answer, is that you need all the HR levers. Especially, you need reward and recognition, you need communication, and you need talent management. Having said that, I think it is very important what kind of role models are talked about in the organization. And we tend to talk a lot and give a lot of prominence to people who have shown innovation in its various aspects.
I think that's a great point. And one of the findings of our top company for leaders research is that there is a very important thing called leadership brand that top companies have. And for example, a leadership brand of 3M will be talking about innovation.
because they talk, their business is all about innovation. And so the leaders have to be innovative, the leaders have to think out of the box. So I think somewhere that role model has to be, the leadership brand itself has to be lived by the top leaders. So coming to you, Sarath, what would you say?
In fact, we really been catching the leadership. We have a leadership identification process where we map their competencies apart from the functional or technical competencies. Basically, the managerial leadership competencies and what we call feedback. We are very good our process, assessment center. There, we measure the list of competencies that are relevant to our organization and our business model. Once you identify the gap, then you do their part by giving them specific training to fill up the gap so that they grow. And once they grow, that's when the probable those who are good people managers, we put them to head the areas where they will be heading. Whereas there are some people who find they are good persons, technology, research, we have a center for applied research and development, we will move them to that place. And once they are placed there, then specifically the program to make them understand the innovation, not only the tolerance, but the encouragement is to create an enabling atmosphere and to create the enabling atmosphere where people come out with new ideas, they experiment, and all those things are encouraged. And in order to avoid any costly mistakes in the process, first we take them through creating the prototypes and also many exercises which are basically of simulating in nature.
Okay, great. So I understand.